we're going through the worst climate episodes anybody has ever seen, right? In was it on the West Coast? It maintained above 125 degrees.
Yep.
For 5, 6, 7,
it hit 120
days,
and it hit 120. It almost hit 130 in Death Valley. I think it was 129.5 or something. Yeah, but it maintained, like you said, over 125.
Yeah, and that's with a formula applied. And what I mean by that is, that temperature is an average. It's not a real temperature. That's not what that is.
Okay.
The real temperature is normally it fluctuates about 2 degrees hotter than what they're reporting, 2 to 5 degrees hotter. So they take a overall average, right? They do an averaging or a formula of just like averaging to give that temperature out. Well, overseas, it was over 130. And some places, up to 140.
Are you serious?
Yes, 140. It was so hot, no one could walk in the sunlight. That's how hot it was.
So in other words, there's a correlation between the weather, the apocalyptic events, and this global uprising among governments and then these secret ceremonies. Were you talking about the Bohemian Grove?
No, not that. Can
you tell us?
Well,
sure.
It's almost just like the Olympics, right? The name is often changed as to what the actual group name is. The group name goes with the theme they have. Okay. But they always have this evocation ceremony, and it's in a very close-knit community, but it's a global community, right? They celebrate Satan. They celebrate Baal. They celebrate, Moloch. They celebrate every demonic entity that you can imagine. They celebrate them. And the bull is always represented in these ceremonies.
Yeah.
Which
is Baal worship. I mean, that was Baal worship.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's just not good.
So you're saying
they have mocks.
Go ahead. No, you're saying they take a combination of Moloch and Baal and different pagan gods and do some kind of, or do they select a theme in certain ones?
Well, normally all of them have the role, and they ultimately bow down to the dragon or Lucifer. And then that dragon turns into a light, and that light is put within a person, and this person rises, and everybody bows down to the individual, right? This time it's global. Wow. So they have a handle on what's happening, just like the church has a handle by the Holy Spirit of what's happening. So do they have a handle of what's happening by, Satan's imps? They have a handle on that too. So they're highly in tune. It is the opposite of the church. It is, you're talking about the richest people on the face of the earth, right? The most influential people on the face of the earth. And when they start making decisions, it just happens, right? So these guys are, this is a spiritually coordinated darkness at a very high level. It's happening, but it's also reflecting in the earth. And when we start having deep movements within the earth, right, that people can see, that NOAA reports or something like their sensors pick up, these are not man-made things. And it will be followed by more shifts in the earth. I wouldn't be surprised, Pastor Paul, if we actually had a major destructive event within weeks. I would not be surprised.
It's interesting you bring that up. We had a 7.1 earthquake early this morning in the Philippines. We had a 6.6 in the Cascadia subduction zone. Actually, they first said it was a 6.5 and a 6.6 a minute apart. Now, later they changed that and just said it was just one, but it was very shallow. It was in the Cascadia subduction zone. We've had bitter cold. There's rivers that have completely frozen over in, I believe it's Argentina. So, I mean,
that's going to get worse too. That freezing, when you're in the desert, right?
Okay.
When you're in the desert's hot. So in the morning, right, you could in the morning sun, it could be 90 degrees in the sunlight on the left side of your body. On the right side of your body can be in the shade, and it can be 32 degrees. Do you know that you can be frostbit on one side while you're burning up on the other? Right?
Wow.
So the more direct sunlight you have, the more of a temperature shear that you're going to have between the two temperatures. So it is that type contrast takes place. I remember my first time in the desert, Pastor Paul, freezing cold at night.
Yep.
And as soon as the sun would rise, it would burn your boots, burn your pants, and your backside would be frozen. You just turn around in circles, trying to
warm up.
Adjust yourself. Yeah. And it will be just like that. It was snow in the nighttime in the desert, in the Middle East. And in the daytime, it'd be 112 degrees.
Yeah.
So as soon as the sun would rise, that would happen. And sometimes in the evening, while the sun was going down, it'd be hot in the sunlight, freezing in the shade, right? Water would freeze in the shade, literally, just like that. So you're talking about a cup sitting about 3 inches away from sunlight, and the cup would freeze. Yet you could fry an egg on a rock where the sunlight was still reaching.
Crazy.
It was just like that. And so as we continue to go through these changes, this is going to become more and more apparent. We're going to have half the world burning while the other side freezes. It'll seem like it's no in between.
You've been saying that for years. You've been saying we're going to have extreme heat and extreme cold.
That's right.
And we're going to have straight line winds that are going to be, monumental. We've already had a 300 mile an hour tornado this year, in Iowa. And this hurricane, when it finally did hit Houston, you see the damage. I mean, flooding and 2.5 million people without power. There's still 1.5 million without power. But this storm went all the way up to West Lafayette, Indiana. It went right up to Indiana, and it knocked the power out. And there's flooding up in Indiana, and it's crazy from the same hurricane. Unbelievable. Yeah. From Jamaica, all the way around.
Yeah. And what's so sad, that wouldn't be considered a major storm compared to what's coming. Compared to what's actually starting to form, because the ocean temps are rising big time. You
mentioned that ice sheet last week, the size of Nebraska, and I thought I got to come back to that. Can you talk about that some more?
There are, Pastor Paul. That's a real danger. It's no mystery that the ice is melting. It's just not a mystery. What a lot of people don't know is the ice is melting from the bottom up also, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at large ice sheets that have been held up by thick ice down at the bottom of the seafloor, right? It's eroded. The waters are heating up. It's eroding away. That has been the support system for all the upper ice. Now, when it breaks, it's going to drop possibly 100 feet in seconds.
Wow.
And you know what that would cause?
Tsunami.
That's right. If an ice sheet the size of Nebraska dropped 100 feet in a couple seconds, nobody's going to dodge that one.
No.
So you're looking at a continent-size blocks of ice that have formed over, long time, but the bottom is becoming so unstable. They're pulling research vessels out. They have no-go zones. Some of the ice is eroded so much that it would take, maybe 0.2 degree change to erode the rest. It's going to go anyway, right? It's going to go anyway. And it could literally go this year, right? So they're watching it closely, because as the waters continue to heat, it's going to cause more of that erosion effect. And it's happening in places we can't even observe, right? It's too deep into these very chaotic zones. We can't observe that. So at some point, we're going to entertain it, and that will begin part of the water event, right?
Yeah.
When that's a tsunami without an earthquake or anything else, we'll just notice a ginormous wave coming across the face of the earth.
It's sort of like a rogue wave, but so we won't really know it's coming. Or I'm sure the buoys are going to go off in some places.
But unfortunately, it'll travel so fast, right?
Yeah.
Because you're looking at, that's some of that water is not deep, some of it is deep. So you're going to have fluctuations in how those buoys react. Most of the buoys react to temperature more than, altitude and everything else.
Really?
So by the time they catch it, There's nothing they can do about that. They can give a warning, but what do you do? What do you tell a person with a warning like that? Because that water would go inland, possibly, 6, 7, 10 miles.
Yeah.
The next calamity we have is going to consume quite a few people, right? So obviously it's not going to be that many people left. They understand the time we live.
A natural calamity, or war.
Natural.
It could be a nuclear.
It's not going to be them. Well, part of it will be war. That's going to be some of it, right? But it's going to have a kickstart of they know the condition of the earth. But let's go ahead and face it. They know about prophecy. They have probes out there looking every single day. They know exactly what's coming. They utilize the Large Hadron Collider to perfect the detection of things.
Okay.
That is a weapon within itself. It is a particle beam weapon, but it's also several other things. They perfected the magnets, which can protect against all types of radiation. They are fully prepared for some sort of nuclear exchange. Now, nuclear exchange is minimal compared to the weapons they actually have, right? Because there are worse things than nuclear weapons. They already know. They talk on the phones with all these opposing nations. They have an understanding that chemical biological warfare is only a matter of time before that breaks out. Too many chemical weapons have been transferred throughout the earth, right? They weren't as governed as nuclear weapons were. While everybody else was looking at, internally into their countries, you had opposing countries moving chemical weapons, right? They're unaccounted for. We have terrorists within every single country. And I suspect they do have their hands on the button for chemical weapons. So if that ever happened, that could easily consume, 50% of a populace.
In other words, would you say chemical weapons right now are more dangerous than nuclear weapons?
Oh, yeah. They're far more dangerous.
Because there's more of them, and there's more of them, and they're more accessible to more people.
Oh, yeah.
Rogue nations and people.
Absolutely. And so once you deploy these things, they just simply take effect. Everybody does not have a solution for that. Once people are affected, they're affected.
Mike, thank you for being with us tonight. Truly appreciate it. Again, wonderful night tonight. Thank you.
Pastor Paul, God bless you. It's always an honor. Always.
No, the honor's mine, believe me. God bless you, brother.
God bless.
God bless.